Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yeah, very good. So, I hope the festival fever over. So it was nice experience. Okay. Everybody. Hello.
Sir.
Yeah, please come to the point. So once again, I'm going to start brush up the basics of the frequency response. So in the last class, we started from the basics of that. What is the importance of the frequency response? The frequency response has three parts. One is the low frequency response, one more is high frequency response, and one more is, 1 minute. Hello? Hello? So మీరు ఇంకో లింక్ పంపించండి, చూడలేదా మీరు ఇమీడియట్ గా? అందరూ జాయిన్ అయిపోయారు, మీరే ఉన్నారు ఇక్కడ. Okay. So the frequency response, mid-range frequencies. Okay. In analog circuits, when it comes to the speed, it depends on the so many parameters. The speed, not only the only one parameter we need to consider. There are many parameters which is associated with the speed, like gain and power dissipation and noise. We must take so especially in this topic, we need to discuss the single stage and different stage frequency domain responses, pole zero concepts, all the things. Yeah. So what is the importance of the frequency response? Means generally the MOSFET is having the 4 terminals like source, gate, drain, and the body. So definitely between the each pair of terminals, one capacitance will be forming. So that is the gate to source, gate to drain, drain to body, and source to body, like that. The capacitor, the MOSFET associated with this all capacitors is a little bit clumsy to do the analysis, so that we must go for some approximations for the simplify the circuits and analysis process. The main concept here is to Miller theorem. Okay, so the Miller theorem is one of the important theory or theorem which must be discussed here to understand to simplify the circuit. Okay, and moreover the poles and zeros. Okay. Generally the Miller theorem is nothing but yeah, this is the low frequency response, this is the mid frequency response, this is the high frequency response. So low frequency, low pass filter, high frequency response will given by the high pass filter, and mid frequency response you can get from the band pass filter. Yeah. So whenever you are going to find the frequency response, generally we need to find the transfer function. The transfer function is in terms of the S. So S is replaced with the j omega to get the frequency response. Okay. When you substitute in the place of S, j omega, then you need to separate the transfer function into the two parts. One is the real part, one more is the imaginary part. So real part, I think in this statement, A plus JB, A is the real part, and the term which is contained the J is called the imaginary part. So then you can find the magnitude as well as the phase. So magnitude you can find from, you can get from simply the formula A square plus B square under root, and angle. Okay, magnitude is A square plus B square under root, and magnitude angle is tan inverse of so imaginary by real. Imaginary is B and real is A. So like that you can find the magnitude as well as the phase. Okay, so whenever you replace the S with the j omega, okay, you can find the magnitude as well as the phase, and you can find the magnitude value, how the magnitude changes from 0 to infinite with respect to the frequency. Sorry, from 0 frequency to the infinite frequency. You can simply by changing the omega value from 0 to infinite, you can vary the omega value from 0 to infinite. You can get different types of response. You can put that response on the any frequency response plot. You can get the frequency response of the system or the circuit. So that is the way you can find the frequency response from one frequency to the last frequency. Generally, the first frequency we can say 0 and last frequency we can say infinite. So that 0 to infinite omega value you can change. You can run the omega value from 0 to infinite. You can get the magnitude. That is called the frequency response of the circuit. Yeah. Poles and zeros, the concept. When you find the transfer function of the system or the circuit, okay, the transfer function has numerator and denominator. Okay, numerator is the one polynomial equation and denominator is another polynomial equation. So the roots of the numerator equation is called the zeros and denominator of the roots of the denominator is called the poles. Okay, like that zeros and poles you can find for a particular transfer function of the circuit. So what the zeros and poles, what they will give the indication? Yes, simply you can understand one thing. In your USI courses, I think control system, you know the control system, control theory, where the poles and zeros of a system location on the S-plane is important. If the poles and zeros of the system are locating left side of the S-plane, then the system is stable, you can say. But when the roots, any one of the root pole or zero is locating right side of the S-plane, you can say that the system is unstable. I hope you remember. So otherwise I will draw here, no problem. Okay, so yeah, this is the S-plane. This is the S-plane. S-plane. This is J omega. That is the real imaginary part. This is the real part, sigma. This is the zero. If any pole or zero locating this side, so this side means left-hand side. This part is called left-hand side of the S-plane. This part is called the left-hand side of the S-plane. And this part is called the right-hand side of the S-plane. Yeah, this part is the right-hand side. Right side of the S-plane. Okay, if any pole or zero locating this side, unstable. If all the poles are locating this side is stable. This is a stable region. This is the unstable region. So got my point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So yeah. Okay. So that is the importance of the poles and zeros. So in the frequency response of a particular circuit, okay, so definitely the poles and zeros plays an important role. So based on the poles and zeros locating on the S-plane, the system may either stable or unstable. You can get the answer. So, and one more thing, when we are going to simplify the circuit, the major concept here, hidden concept here we need to understand, that is a Miller theory or Miller effect. What is the Miller effect? I told you in the last class. Once again, I'm going to tell you. So the main intention of the Miller effect is the decomposition of the floating impedance into the two grounded impedances is called the Miller theorem. Okay. So the floating impedance. So generally we can say the floating impedance is nothing but which can be connected between the input and output nodes. Okay. So it is called the floating impedance. So here is the Z is the floating impedance. That Z we need to convert. We need to decompose, okay, into the two parts, Z1 and Z2. Okay, so Z1 must be having the ground and Z2 must be having the ground. So that is called the Miller theorem. So by doing of this one, I think you can have a simple small signal circuit. Yeah, what is the Z1 value? What is Z2 value? Suppose Z1 value is nothing but Z by 1 minus AV and Z2 is nothing but 1 by Z by 1 minus, so AV inverse. What is the AV? AV is the gain, open loop gain. AV is the open loop gain. That means Vy by Vx. Vy is the output and Vx is the input. So that is the AV. Okay. So Z1 is equal to Z by 1 minus AV. Z2 is equal to Z by 1 minus AV. That means 1 by AV. You can say simply. Yeah, this is the floating point node. So whenever you're going to apply Miller theorem, then definitely the current must be flows in both the directions, from X to Y and Y to Z, Y to X also. If only one direction, it is impossible to apply the Miller theorem. Okay, so in this circuit, so X is one node and Y is another node. So the current is flowing from X to Y as well as y to x also. Okay. So I want to apply Miller theorem for this floating impedance. Then, so this can be, you can draw like this. So x, okay. So a node in series with the Z1 and grounded. Here another one is Z2 is in between the Y node and the ground. Okay. So suppose if you want to find here Z1 value. Suppose when we are going to correlate these two, generally what is this? Vx minus Vy by Vz. That is equal to Vx by Z1. So from this you can understand what is the Z1 value. So what is Z1 value got? Zy you will get Z by 1 minus Av will get. In place of Av you will get the Vy by Vx. Vx by Vy. Yeah. So Z2 value, similarly Z2 value, you can write from Vy minus Vx by Z is equal to Vy by Z2. So from that you will get the Z2 is equal to Z by 1 minus Vx by Vy. Okay, that's why it's called the AV, voltage gain, and this is called the 1 by AV. Yes, that is the Miller theorem. Okay, so Miller theorem does not, it cannot be applied, it cannot be valid when the current is only one direction flow. Okay, so this is the one circuit. For example, if you consider here, this is the X node, this is the Y node. Yeah, so you can say this is the input node, this is the output node. Now Z is presented in between this node and this node. Current may be flowing. If it is grounded, current is flowing like this. If the signal is applied, current is flowing like this. Okay, so this I can say this is the Z is the floating load, floating impedance. So you can apply what is that one? A Miller theorem for this circuit. The floating impedance Z can be replaced with the two grounded impedances, Z1 and Z2. So Miller approximation. What is the Miller approximation? Okay, take this equivalent circuit. This is my equivalent circuit. Okay, so equivalent circuit showing gain change at high frequency. See, here is the this is the Vx is the input. Okay, this is the R out. The current is flowing like this. Cf is the floating impedance. From this equivalent impedance, Vy means here. The voltage Vy means here at this node. Vy is not equal to this Vy is not equal to this voltage. This voltage at high frequency. So why is saying high frequency is acting, and hence Cf cannot be simplified, simply multiplied by the 1 plus A is to yield the input capacitance. So the meaning of this statement is very simple. So because of this, the floating impedance, I need to split this. I need to split this like this. This is X. Here is one capacitor, that is input capacitance, and here is one more capacitance. Yeah, I cannot do like I should do like this. Sorry, I should do like this. This is the X. Yeah, this is the input capacitance. I can say CFI. This is the CFO. You can say the CF has divided into the CFI and CFO. This is the input capacitance. I can say. Okay. So since in this circuit, in this sequence circuit, Vy is not equal to. So because Y is not equal to, at high frequency is talking about. At high frequency, what is the impedance of the CF? You can say the impedance is 1 by j omega. CF is the impedance X. When the frequency is very high, the impedance is very low. The capacitor impedance is very low. Okay, so that is the thing. So that at high frequencies, the Vy is not equal to minus AVX, and hence CF cannot be simply multiplied by 1 plus A to yield the input capacity. Generally, what is input capacitance formula? Input capacitance formula is, that means Z1. Z1 formula is Z by 1 minus AV. This is the formula. In place of AV, I can write the, what is the, suppose this AV is suppose 0, you can say, for example. So I think otherwise you can say simply, this is the minus AVX, so that you can write in the place of minus AVX. So that means Z by 1 minus plus AVX. Okay. So here is Z is the Z is equal to, CF cannot be directly multiplied. Means Z should be multiplied with the 1 by 1 minus AV. This is 1 by 1 minus plus endukante, so minus undi kabatti ikkada value, so plus anukuntunnam. So Z1 is equal to Z is multiplied with something. Here is not, it is not possible because of what is saying, this CF is presented. Okay. Yeah. However, in many cases uses low frequency value, Vy by Vx to gain insight into the behavior of the circuit. Yeah. So input resistance of the CZ stays with the ideal current source load. 1 minute. I want to. In the last class, we did some examples. We solved some example problems. Yeah. So in the last class, we solved this example problem, 6.1. Yeah. Consider the circuit shown in the figure where the voltage amplifier has a negative gain equal to minus A and is otherwise ideal. Calculate the input capacitance of the circuit. Yeah, the CF is presented between the X and Y. Now I want to split the CF as Z1 and Z2 by Miller theorem. So what is the Z1 value? What is Z2 value? We want to find. So while you are finding this value, we got some particular solution. So what is that? Z is equal to 1 by CFS. The Z value is, impedance of the CF is 1 by CFS. Okay, so Z1 is equal to 1 by CFS by 1 plus A. Finally, you got this. The input capacity CF is multiplied with the 1 plus A. This is this point I'm asking you there. Okay, so that means Z1 value got, CF is the capacitance is multiplied with 1 plus A value. This is the Z1 value. So whenever the capacity is presented between the input and output nodes, the input capacitance value is simply the capacitance value is multiplied with the 1 plus A. This must be true. So in the earlier discussion, what happened? This is not valid at the high frequency for the circuit. Okay. So the conclusion statement is Miller multiplication of the capacitor. This is called the Miller multiplication of the capacitor. Okay. And one more thing, in the picture C, for any change at the input signal, delta V, at the output node, you will get the same change with multiplication of the gain factor A. And the second example also we did. This is the second example, the Miller multiplication factor. So here is the a student needs a large capacitor for the filter and decides to utilize the Miller multiplication. Okay, explain the issue in the approach. Yeah, here is, if you see in this picture, this is the whatever the circuit we studied earlier. Okay, in the example 1. Okay, so whose input capacitance is, when you are splitting this capacity of So you will get the input capacitance, whose input capacitance value CF is simply multiplied with 1 plus A. Okay, so here is the at node X, if a change of the signal V0 applied, V0 signal is applied, okay, with the swing, then this sequence circuit is here is there, okay. So at the output, that means at the node Y, you will get the same, that means implemented, that means amplified signal. Amplified signal means voltage swing is increases. Okay, see the issue related to the multiplication amplifier, particularly to its output swing, as exemplified by the implementation in the figure B. Yeah, so if the voltage at X swings by V0, Y must accommodate the same swing, okay, with the multiplication factor of the transistor. That is second one. And similarly, third example, this is the third example. Okay, so calculate the input impedance of the circuit. He is asking about the input impedance of the circuit. Okay, so here is R0 is the one impedance which is existing between the X and Y nodes. So I need to apply here we should apply a Miller theorem. So based on the Miller theorem, this you can draw like this. This is the Z1, this is the Z2. What is Z1 value? So Z by 1 minus AV, and Z2 value is Z by 1 minus 1 by AV. Yeah, same thing I applied. So what is Z here? R0. R0 by 1 minus AV and R0 by 1 minus 1 by AV. AV is the gain of the transistor. Yeah. So now we want to get the input impedance. Input impedance means we should be looking into the from external. So yeah, see. So the gain of the circuit is voltage gain of the circuit is last time I told you AV is equal to, so 1 plus GM plus, so GMB into R0. Okay, you can substitute R0, Rin is equal to input resistance is equal to, okay, so R0 by 1 minus AV is parallel with the impedance of circuit. So that Rin is equal to R0 by 1 minus AV is parallel with 1 by GM plus GMB. So you know the AV value, this is the AV value, you can substitute here, then you got this one. Okay, so after that, so after this one, what happened? For example, yeah, this is the value is much more than the 1. So 1 can be neglected. After that, this is also more than this one. This is also neglected. So that finally you got R0 by R0 cancels 1 by, so GM plus GMB is parallel with 1 by, so GM plus GMB. So which is nothing but infinite value, minus of course. I think last class we studied up to here. Okay, so now we are at this point. So this point, what I told you, this is the CF value, so existing between. So the input impedance, input capacitance, or input capacitance CF input capacitance is equal to, what is our simple formula according to the Miller theorem? So simply input capacitance CI is equal to, I can say CF is multiplied with 1 plus AV. Yeah, this is true for the low frequency, but false for the high frequency. Because of at high frequency, this is not true. Okay, so what happened? CF cannot be multiplied simply by 1 plus A to get the input capacitance. Okay, so but at low frequency we can use the Vy by Vx to gain inside the behavior circuit. This is called the Miller approximation. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Take this circuit. Already I told you about this one. To derive the transfer function, apply a voltage source to the input of the circuit, obtain the value of for Vy by Vx. Take this circuit. If you want to find the transfer function of this circuit, okay, transfer function of the circuit. So then what that means you need to apply the voltage source. Okay, so Vx is the input signal. So on the other hand, to determine the output impedance, yeah, this is the to apply the input impedance, you must apply a source Vx at the input side. Similarly, to know the output impedance, apply output impedance up to output one voltage source at the output side, Vy. That's it. Anytime, if you want to find input impedance and output impedance, then you need to apply the voltage sources. Okay. Especially when you are going to calculate the input impedance, you need not to apply voltage source because already voltage source, input source may be there. If not, apply. So, but at the output side, to find the output impedance, so definitely there should not be any voltage source. Okay, only the option is you need to apply the voltage source and find the current due to that voltage source. Then the ratio of that voltage to current source is nothing but your impedance, output impedance. Okay, so apply a voltage source to the output of the circuit, obtain the value for Vx by Vy that may not be equal to the inverse of the Vy by Vx measured in the first test. What is saying in the first test is doing one thing, derive the transfer function. How can you derive the transfer function? Apply a voltage to the input side and obtain the Vy by Vx. That is the first case. In the second case, to find the output impedance. So remember, understand the two things very clearly. This is my circuit. This is my network, for example. So this is my example, Vy. Okay, so this is the Vx. Transfer function is equal to simply Vy by Vx. This is the transfer function formula. Okay, how can you get the transfer function? Sorry, how can you get this transfer function? Yes. So first apply a voltage source here. Yeah, find this transfer function. That is the first case. In the second case, to find the output impedance, apply a voltage source here. Find the current Iy. Then so Iy by output impedance Z is equal to Z0 is equal to Vy by Iy. This is the output impedance. Okay. So in this case also, whenever you applying the output voltage source to find the output impedance, then also you can find the one response Vy by Vx. But in the first case and second case, whatever the values you got is not equal. Okay, understand? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, in this picture, output impedance I want to calculate. Okay, so output impedance R out is equal to R0 by 1 minus 1 by AV. This is the formula. This is the R0. Because output impedance means this is the output terminal, so that you can apply voltage source here. But anyhow, there's already resistance is available, so that R out is equal to R0 by 1 minus 1 by AV. Already you know what is the voltage gain formula. Voltage gain formula is what? 1 plus Gm plus Gmb into R naught. So this is okay. When you are going to simplify this one, then you got this one. 1 by Gm plus Gmb plus R naught. Okay, after simplification of this one, R naught by 1 minus, okay, 1 by 1 plus Gm plus Gmb into R naught. Take the LCM, take the first LCM, then R naught by, so 1 plus, so Gm plus Gmb into R naught minus 1, okay, minus 1 by 1 plus Gm plus Gmb into R naught. After simplification, you will get simply R naught plus 1 by Gm plus Gmb. Yeah. Miller's approximation divides a floating impedance by the low frequency gain and faces the following limitations. The first one is it may eliminate zero. It may predict additional pole. So it does not correctly compute the output impedance. What is that one? Miller approximation process divides the floating impedance, is what is applied for the dividing floating impedance to the grounded impedances. Okay, by the low frequency gain. So it has some limitations. So whenever we are applying the Miller approximation process, not Miller theory, not Miller approximation process, what happened? It may eliminate the zero. So 1 0 may be removed from the transfer function, or it may be added additional pole to the transfer function. And whatever the output impedance you have computed, which is not, it may not be exactly what? Same as the Miller theorem. Okay, these are the some limitations of the Miller approximations. So association of poles and nodes, yeah, association of poles with nodes. So the meaning of this statement is by seeing the one circuit, one network. Okay, so at a glance, how can we say the number of poles the transfer function is having? Okay, so the poles and nodes have some relation. The number of nodes, how many number of nodes are there? By computing the number of nodes in the network, you can say number of poles in the transfer function. See, first consider the cascading of amplifier circuits. Okay, this is my cascading of, this is one network. This is one more network. Okay, this is one more network. And this may be the load, of course. These are the two networks cascaded. One network is having the gain of A1, another network is having the gain of A2. These two are the ideal voltage amplifiers. Okay. And R1 value, R2 value. Okay, these are the output resistance of each stage. R1 is the output resistance of the first stage, and R2 is the output impedance of the second stage. Okay, Cin, this is the Cin, and Cn. These are the input capacitance of each stage. And Cp is the load capacitance. Okay, understand? So this is the input. This is the input. Got my point? Hello? So we are going to the concept of understanding the concept of the poles, association of the poles with nodes. Okay. So my intention is, my clarification at this point is, by watching the network, so how much quickly you can say how many number of poles are there. For example, if you consider this cascading of the two networks, two voltage amplifiers, A1 is gain of the one voltage amplifier, A2 is the gain of the another voltage amplifier. And R1, R2 are the output resistance of each stage, and Cin and Cn are the input capacitance of these stage, and Cp is the load capacitance, and this is the source. Vin is the source with association of what? Impedance Rs. Vin is the input source associated with the input what? So resistance Rs. Now, what is the transfer function of this fellow? The transfer function of this fellow, this circuit, this network is, you can say this one. V out of S by V in of S is equal to A1 by 1 plus Rs is multiplied with the C in S into A2 by 1 plus R1 is multiplied with the C in S into 1 by 1 plus R2 into CPS. So here is this is one pole, this is one pole, this is one pole. So in this transfer function, you have 3 poles. Okay, so that I can say this is one node, this is another node, this is another node. 3 nodes are there, so that 3 poles are there in the transfer function. Okay, what is the first one? A1 by 1 plus Rs is multiplied by C in S. Okay, second one is A2 by 1 plus R in R1 CNS. Okay, third one is 1 by 1 plus R2 CPS. These are the 3 poles are there in the transfer function. Got my point? This is this one, and this one. So gain of this one is A1, gain of this one is A2. This is only one circuit, so that 1 by 1 plus R2 into CPS. Okay. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Circuit exhibits 3 poles. Each is determined by the total capacitance seen from each node to ground, multiplied by the total resistance seen at the node to ground. Yes. Okay, total capacitance from node to ground multiplied with the total impedance from node to the ground. So what is the total impedance from node to ground? Total resistance from the node to ground. Total capacitance, total impedance. So here is each pole is, from this we can understand each pole is associated with the one node. Okay, J omega is equal to, you can write J omega J is equal to, you can say omega J is equal to, so tau inverse of J. So what is tau inverse? Tau inverse is nothing but the tau J inverse, you can say tau J inverse. Wj is equal to, so tau suffix J inverse. Here tau J is nothing but the what? C, so in the earlier case, R1 into CIS. Okay, that means R1 and C1. That means product of the capacitance and the resistance seen at the node J to ground. From this, each node in the circuit contributes 1 pole to the transfer function. Yeah, finally I can say each node is, okay, each node, suppose the network is having 3 nodes, 3 poles are there, 2 nodes, 2 poles are there, 1 node, 1 pole is there, 5 nodes, 5 poles are there. Okay. Yeah, this statement is valid for the simple networks. For complicated networks, this is not valid. What is the statement? Nodes associated with the poles associated with the nodes concept is not valid for the complex circuit. Location of poles is difficult to calculate because, okay, R3 and C3 create interaction between the X and Y. For suppose if you take this circuit, in the circuit, how many nodes are there? This is one node, this is one more node. Based on our theory, based on earlier statement, we can come to the conclusion that the network transfer function, what is the transfer function? V out and V in is there. So V out by V in of S has 2 poles, but this is wrong here. Okay, because what he's saying here is simply it is difficult. This is suppose if you take this branch is presented between the X and Y. But in the earlier case, it is not like that. Very simple thing is there. Nothing is there between two nodes. Nothing is presented. But here is not like that. Okay. So that is the location of poles is difficult to calculate because R3 and C3 create interaction between X and Y. Okay. So nevertheless, in many circuits, association of the one pole with each node provides an intuitive approach to estimating the transfer function. We simply multiply the total equivalent capacitance by the total incremental resistance, thus obtaining the equivalent time constant and hence the pole frequency. Okay, so generally we use that process, but when you got this type of networks, so that means whenever there is interaction between the two nodes are there, then the statement we cannot be applied directly. Okay, we cannot apply directly. This is understand? Hello,
Sir.
yeah. Yeah, so example 4, yes, we studied or not, we'll see. Yeah, this is my example 4. Yeah, determine the transfer function of the circuit shown in the figure using, first one is direct analysis, one more is the Miller approximation. Okay, so we need to apply here. This is my network. This is my network. This is my network. Okay, so for this network, what do you want? Transfer function. Okay, so for this network, yeah, for this network, by Miller theorem, so this is the equivalent circuit. So this CF is, okay, divided into two grounded impedances. One is the input capacitance, one more is the output capacitance, you can say. The input capacitance is simply CF is multiplied with 1 plus A, and output capacitance CF is divided with 1 plus A. Okay. Again, we want transfer function. Very simple. See, current to the RS. Suppose if you take this one, 1 minute. Yeah. CF. Yeah. So V in minus Vx by RS. The first one is V in input node minus Vx by RS. Okay, then voltage drop across R naught equal to V in minus Vx by R out into by RS. It means see here is this current. What is this current? V in minus Vx by RS is the current. Okay. So I want to find the V out. V out is equal to this node. I can say drop across R naught is equal to, since current is flowing like this current and this current both are same. You can say this drop is the same current is flowing. This is the same current. This is called IS. So that R out is equal, V out is equal to R out is multiplied with IS. That means R out is how much? Sorry, IS is now how much? V in minus Vx by RS is multiplied with the, this current is multiplied with the R out, is called the V out. Any doubt?
No.
So first thing is find the current here. The same current will flow like this, so that the R out is multiplied with the same current, you will get the V out. Yeah, this is. Okay. This is. So, yeah, one more thing is I forget that this value also forget, sorry. Sorry, it is this value forget. Minus 2 plus plus, minus 2 plus plus, once again I will write it here. Yes. So here write the loop like this. So current is coming like this, so that it is coming like this. So that if you want V out, okay, plus 2 minus, then use this loop. So V out is equal to R out is multiplied with the IS plus 2 minus minus. Okay, this is minus AVX. So that minus minus plus AVX. So R out is multiplied with IS is means what? IS means V in minus Vx by RS. Okay, this is the V out plus A into Vx. Separate the terms Vx, R out into V in by RS minus R out into Vx by RS plus A into Vx. So from this separate the Vx terms. Vx terms. Okay. Then substitute the Vx value. Vx value. So in terms of V in you will get. Then substitute the Vx in terms of V in. Then this equation is V out is equal to all are in terms of V ins. Then V out by V in is nothing but the transfer function of the circuit. Yes, this is you got finally. You got the finally. Okay. So this is the equation. So in this Vx terms separate and substitute the Vx value in terms of V in. Then the entire equation is in terms of V out and Vx terms, so that you will get this one. So V in minus Vx. This is the transfer function of the circuit. What is that? R out is multiplied with CFS minus A by 1 plus A into CF, sorry, ARS plus R out. The entire thing is multiplied with CFS plus 1. Okay. So this is the what? V in minus Vx by RS is equal to this current. Vx minus V out by 1 by CFS. That means this current. This current. This current is equal to this current. This current is V in minus Vx by RS. And this current is Vx minus V out by 1 by CFS. 1 by CFS. Okay. That is the, you can say CFS is multiplied by Vx minus V out. So this current IS, this current IC, both are equal. IS is equal to IC. Okay. So by writing of this one, 1 minute. Yeah, by writing of this one, you got this expression. You got this expression. Okay. So from this is the transfer function. Once you got the transfer function, you can say, you can find the, what is that one? Poles and zeros. The numerator is 1 0. One root is there. In the numerator, we have one root. That is 1 0. and in the denominator, you have a one more root, only one root. This is the pole. So that above circuit has one pole and one zero. So 1 0 is at omega z is equal to a by, take the LCM, that means this is common. Okay, a by, or you can substitute to in place of s, 1 by omega you can substitute, 1 by j omega, or 1 by omega you can substitute. Then a by r out is multiplied with the CF is the one root of the above numerator equation, that is a 0, and pole is same thing, 1 by minus 1 by a 1 plus a into rs plus r out is multiplied with the CF. This is one root. So the above transfer function has one pole and one 0. Okay, 0 is locating at a by r out CF, r out is product of r out CF, and 0 is locating at minus 1 by 1 plus a into rs CF plus r out into CF. Okay, students, I will stop here because hello.
Sir.
Sir, చెప్పండి.
I will stop here.